Story 1. Be me. About 10 years old. Live in rural area. Neighbors are cow fields. It's about 10 o'clock at night. I'm getting ready for bed. As I'm getting ready, I notice that there's no bug noises outside. Think that's weird as I live in Louisiana and there's always bugs. Always. Decide to peek out the window. Look out the window, and there's a man staring right at me. Look into his eyes for what feels like hours, unable to scream or look away. This man wasn't a normal man, though. His face looked like it had been burned, and that it didn't heal right. It was just this kind of lumpy, stretched out mess. And he was smiling at me. Finally, whatever spell was over me was broken, and I screamed. Dad went outside looking for the guy, but found no trace. Only feet impressions on the grass. Story 2. I have a lot of experiences from when I was very young. I remember them all vividly. But here's one that's always creeped me out a lot. Be me, 4 or 5 years old. Laying in my bed watching TV on a small box TV. Look out the window and see 5 children playing jump rope in my front yard right next to my window. They're all black and white like they were straight out of the Andy Griffith Show, dressed in 50s and 60s children's attire. One of the boys closest to my window notices me looking at them. Everyone stops and stares at me. They all scowl and don't break eye contact. Me being a social butterfly, I hop out of bed and try to go play with them. Get to the front yard. Look around and no one's there. Go back inside and cry because I wanted to play jump rope with the sitcom 1950s ghost children. Story 3. I'll have to paint a picture of the location to give you a sense of what made this so creepy. West Texas. Houses stand about a mile from each other. My house has a long driveway that meets the main highway. I stand next to this highway every morning waiting for the bus to take me to school. This story takes place when I'm already home, though. 5th grade. Never really have friends over due to distance. But today's different. I'm playing with some action figures in my room. Alone. Knock at the front door. Mom goes to answer. After a moment, she pokes her head into my room. There's some kids from school to see you. I'm too excited to realize just how unusual this really is. Race to the front door. See these kids I've never met. I will never forget how they looked. It was a boy and a girl. Today I would recognize their clothing as something like a boarding school outfit or something like that, but it was really old-timey and kind of coarse brown material, old-fashioned haircuts. The works. They look like they came out of a military school or something. First thing I ask him is, do I know them from school? No response. And then I ask their names. No response again. Finally I ask, who are you? Nothing. Not a word, and they don't even move. They just keep staring at me. I honestly don't think I even remember them blinking. I should be scared by this, but I'm just too damn excited to have any company. I tell them, wait right there and I'll get my toys. Run to my room. Pick up my action figures. Run back out the door. The kids are gone. Vanished. And again, this is West Texas, so it's nothing but a bunch of flat land. I run around back thinking maybe they went to the back of the house. Again, virtually flat, no trees, and I can basically see for miles. Not a soul. I run back around and look down the driveway that ends at the highway. Nobody there. I even run down the highway and look down both sides of the road, but nothing. Sit on the porch confused for a long while. I wait maybe 20 minutes, maybe longer. Kids never show back up. Eventually go back inside. Mom's been cleaning and cooking. Tell her what happened. She's busy, so she shrugs it off. Years later, bring it back up to her. Do you remember that one day when those kids showed up and then just kind of disappeared? I don't even mention what the kids looked like, but Mom knows right away. She tells me, I actually thought those kids were really creepy. They were dressed up in old-timey clothes, and they had this really weird way of talking. I never heard them speak, so I asked her what they sounded like. Like English robots or something. I still don't have an explanation. There's nowhere those kids could have been hiding, and even if it was a prank, they would have had to find those old get-ups and walk who knows how long just to get to my house. Story 4. Be preschool age, circa 2000 to 2001. Parents sent me on an extended vacation to visit my grandparents in Ohio. It's a cool farmhouse in the hills, Amish settlement nearby. Closest real civilization was like a combo gas station Pizza Hut country bar several miles up the road. Lots of fond memories, even though that place is definitely haunted, and I had a lot of nightmares there. Being driven up to the house by Grandpa. Passing a house with a guy standing in his front yard. He flags down Grandpa and points to his driveway. Looked to be in his 50s. Creepy looking, like really thin and spindly torso and legs with bulky arms and a gaunt face. Grandpa turns back to me and says to stay low because he eats children. Grandpa gets out of the car and locks the doors. Follows this guy over to his garage. They talk outside for less than 2 minutes. Grandpa hurries back to the car. Burns rubber out of the driveway, and we almost slipped the opposite side of the road and down the hill. A couple days to maybe a week later. Creepy guy comes to the house while I'm playing outside. Drives an old 1950s, 1960s Ford that was spewing black exhaust. Truck had a bunch of black bags and junk in the back. Steps out of the truck, staring at me and grinning ear to ear. Grandpa comes out from the barn and starts leading him that way. And Grandma comes out of the house at the same time and takes me inside. I'm not allowed to come out until the guy leaves. A couple days later, I'm supposed to be sleeping downstairs in Uncle's old room. Old house is creepy at night and makes all manner of noises. Hear something outside. Run upstairs and go to sleep in Grandparents' bed. Have a nightmare where a shadow man's chasing me through the grounds outside of the house and stole my ability to speak so I can't call my grandma for help. Months later, back home in another state. Sleep in the living room because my sister keeps rolling around and making noises in her sleep. Have a nightmare that the same shadow man is staring at me through the sliding glass window that leads outside. Story 5. My memory's pretty garbage, but even still, I can remember a memory from when I was 4 years old in near perfect detail. 4 years old, sleeping in my room. In my dream, I'm floating outside my room's window on the second floor, like 10 feet away. I can see the shadowy outline of something. The only really distinct thing I can make out is the top of its head sprouts out in different directions, kind of like a jester's hat. It's climbing up the gutter next to my window. Wake up and it's daytime. Fast forward like 5 years. Different house now. Go out to the garage to grab a drink from the fridge. Didn't bother turning on the light. After grabbing a drink, I close the fridge door, and to my right is the same being standing there in the darkness. Like a darkness outlined by how it's darker than the surrounding darkness. It disappears pretty much the moment I see it. It's been 10 years and I haven't seen it, but I'm still hesitant to go anywhere without turning on the lights now. Story 6. 8 years old. Riding my bike around in the woods on the edge of town. Gets dark. Come back into town on a trail that goes right behind a pizza place. Come around the back of the pizza place and see a man lying on the ground on the other side of a chain link fence. Perched atop the man is Death. Scythe in one hand. Tattered dark gray cloak. Hood over the head. Literally the Grim Reaper. Death's hand is on the man's chest. Death turns and looks at me. All I see is the bottom of its chin. Bone white collar under the hood. Instant reaction is pure terror. I scream. Immediately switch from terror to anger and start screaming some more. Get away from him! Over and over. Someone from the pizza place hears me and comes out the back door. Sees what's going on and calls the police. Turns out the guy on the ground was just some homeless guy who had passed out, and Death was just another homeless guy who saw a passed out person and was searching through his clothes to try to find money or something. The reason I saw bone was because the guy was pale as shit, and his scythe was just a walking stick. Not everything can be spooky, I guess. Story 7. Saw someone wrote something similar to this. Got creeped out again because something similar happened to me. Be me, 8. Wake up in the morning. Go to watch some morning kids shows. Watch something on TV, but suddenly get sleepy. So sleepy that I lay on the sofa and decide to sleep. Randomly wake up in the hospital. Parents ask me how the hell I broke my leg. They tell me that I woke up and they had me watching TV, and then we had some breakfast and I went out to play and then somehow broke my leg and literally crawled back to the house. Dad found me and then took me to the hospital. But I don't remember any of this. Still after years my right leg hurts before rain, or sometimes I don't even feel it at all. My walking also changed. My right leg leans to the left when I walk and I have a limp now. Story 8. This one isn't mine, but my dad's. Be about 16 years old. Bored as hell. Decide to rent a canoe and sail down a large creek with a friend. Reach a spot that seems untouched by civilization. Dense forest with no trails or anything. Suddenly, spot something off to the right. A large shed-like thingy made of bricks. About the size of a small house, but only has one room. Decide to investigate. The inside of the structure is empty, except for the floor, which is littered with thousands upon thousands of bottle caps. Literal heaps of them, but no bottles anywhere. Takes a look around the vicinity. No path leading up to the structure. It's literally just there in the middle of nowhere, serving no purpose. Slightly unnerved, but keep investigating. Friend is still inside of the structure. Dad suddenly spots something. On one of the trees there's a paw. But it's not nailed to the tree. It's stuck to the trunk by its claws. The rest of the animal is nowhere to be seen. Nope out of there with the speed of 1,000 winds. Never go back. Story 9. I have a few ghost stories from my childhood that I'll type out since I like the idea of this thread. My stepdad lost his mom to a heart attack that happened as she sat on a certain chair when he was just 12 years old. For some unknown reason, he kept this chair for at least 25 years and proudly told me one day that this is indeed the chair where his mom died. I was like 6 or 7, He was just a really bizarre guy. I was afraid of that chair ever since and had a dozen dreams where it got up like a person and smothered me with its chair legs. In the same house, my mom once saw a white shape coming through the corridor and into the room with the chair. When it sat on the chair, the white apparition just exploded into a white cloud, as she put it. Though a part of me is certain that my mom just made this story up, since she knew that I was horrified by that stupid chair, they only got rid of it after they had to move to a city apartment. And since the chair was this huge armchair, there wasn't a place to put it in. It was almost a sofa. And this next one is such a bizarre tale that nobody ever believes it, which is really frustrating because there are at least 10 witnesses to it. So, when I was a kid, there was this old man in our commie block who had long curly black hair and this greasy ponytail, a clean shave, tap dancing shoes in black and white color with a white shoe belt thingies, tight pants, and a leather jacket that he wore all the time, as well as a single white glove and a handmade wide-brim hat, since hats like that weren't made in USSR and post-USSR countries. If this description doesn't immediately ring any bells, he was dressing up like an Eastern European bargain bin version of Michael Jackson, but he was around 50 when Michael was like 30-something and we kids were all 8 to 10. That guy lived completely alone, and he only walked around in that one costume. Despite knowing us for years, he'd walk up to us as we were playing at least once per week and ask,
"Do you like Michael Jackson's music? Do you want to know how he dances? I studied dancing from Michael Jackson. You want to dance like him?"
Despite everyone knowing what his intentions were and saying no, he continued going like a,
"In my apartment, I have all of Michael Jackson's records and his autograph in a frame. You want to come see? I can teach you to dance like he does."
He repeated shit like a robot. Since we were long taught by our parents to say no to his every question and say we didn't like Michael Jackson and all that shit, he was never able to lure any of us into his apartment. But, goddamn man, how bizarre is that? A commie block had a man dressed up like Michael Jackson constantly harassing small kids, begging them to go into his apartment, and the most protection our parents provided us was making us promise that we just wouldn't go. I mean, he could have just grabbed us one day or something, right? Anyways, he died from a bad heart when we were like 15, and didn't interest him anymore. I gotta wonder though, did he score at least once before dying? I hope not. Story 10. Not really paranormal, but it was plenty weird. Go magnet fishing with brother. Never find anything except for old fishing hooks. Start checking Google Maps for more hidden bodies of water. Find one. Research area, and many battles took place there. Rope other brother into it after I convince them both that this small lake is gonna have some sort of treasure trove in it that we can use to make the Staffordshire hoard look like loose change. It's only 500 feet by 200 feet, and you can see all around it, and it doesn't seem very deep either, but still, that treasure ain't gonna rescue itself. After about an hour, we found some fishing hooks. Nice day, at least. Quiet, too. But suddenly it gets interrupted by some guy jumping up from under the water in the middle of the lake, taking an enormous breath, and then just going back under. We run away. Leave magnet and potential treasure behind. I've never been back since, and this was about 10 years ago. To say that I shit my britches would be an understatement. I mean, whoever it was didn't have any kind of breathing apparatus on them, and we would have easily seen them enter the water, so I honestly don't know what the hell was going on.